Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Repeater. Let's get straight into the storyline. At the beginning, we are introduced to a hitman named John Smith. Smith is being interrogated by the Spanish police chief, accompanied by two of his officers. Ironically, the police chief was meant to be Smith's next target, but instead, he managed to capture Smith first. Now, the chief is determined to find out who ordered the hit.
And I know that you are an assassin.
However, Smith refuses to speak, which only fuels the chief's frustration. After that, the police chief plans to continue torturing Smith using a high-powered stun device. But here, they don't realize that Smith has managed to remove the handcuffs from his wrists.
It's the repeating. Repeat.
As a result, the police chief and his men are killed by Smith. Then, the scene shifts to a hacker named Howard, who is seen sending a secret file to his friend. Howard is a little nervous, considering he has just stolen a file code from a Mafia leader whose system he managed to hack. After that, Howard goes to a bar to meet a thug who sells tickets and illegal passports, because Howard plans to fly to America. When they meet, the thug asks Howard for the secret file code. Howard replies that he came only to buy tickets and passports to America. He also explains that he already sent the file code to his friend and no longer has it. At the same time, two other thugs approach Howard. They force him to come with them so they can interrogate him and retrieve the file code. But suddenly, a man named Daniel stops them, and without hesitation, Daniel finishes off the thug along with his two men. After successfully finishing off the thugs, Daniel immediately takes Howard to an empty warehouse for interrogation. It turns out that Daniel is the right-hand man of a Mafia leader, sent to recover the code file. It's revealed that the code file contains all the criminal records of Daniel's boss, the Mafia leader. At first, Howard lies, saying that Daniel has mistaken him for someone else and that he doesn't know anything about the code file. But fearing for his life, Howard eventually confesses that he sold the file code to his friend, Anton. He also tells Daniel that Anton plans to go to the Mexican border in the next few days before returning to America. Howard hopes Daniel will let him go, but he is immediately killed by Daniel. The scene then shows an old man named Silver, who is reading a newspaper. Shortly after, Daniel approaches him. It turns out this old man is Daniel's boss, the one who ordered him to retrieve the secret code file containing all his crimes. Daniel explains that he couldn't find the file yet, but he now knows it's in the hands of a man named Anton. Hearing that, Silver immediately orders Daniel to retrieve the file soon. Daniel informs him that Anton will be at the Mexican border in the next few days. He promises to get the file before Anton returns to America, and to make sure Anton ends up dead. Now, the scene shows Smith traveling by boat to meet his mentor. After a few hours, Smith finally meets him. This old man usually links hitmen like Smith with clients. Here, the mentor immediately rebukes Smith for being caught by the Spanish police chief, who was supposed to be Smith's target. However, Smith argues that the most important thing is that he succeeded in finishing the job, even if it took longer than expected. For the past few months, Smith hasn't been as tough as he used to be, especially since his wife died in a car accident. Realizing Smith still hasn't moved on from her death, the mentor suggests he take a break from work. But Smith refuses, believing that staying busy will help him move on. In the end, the mentor gives Smith another job, retrieving the secret code from Anton. Before leaving, the mentor tells him that Anton will be at the Mexican border in the next few days and mentions the places Anton usually visits.
That's all I got, brother. See you around.
Later, Smith rushes to the Mexican border with the information his mentor provided. Anton, who is Smith's target, is a hacker who has bankrupted several corporations. In the evening, Smith arrives in Mexico and plans to rest at an inn. He hires a hooker that night to accompany him in his room. However, Smith, still haunted by memories of his late wife, doesn't engage in anything physical. The woman's name is Esmeralda. All night, they simply talk while watching TV. Here, Esmeralda asks Smith why he came to the city. Smith admits that he's an assassin who came to finish off a target. Then he asks Esmeralda why she became a call girl. She responds that she does it to pay for her 6 siblings' treatment. The next morning, Smith secretly leaves money on the bed while Esmeralda is still asleep. He then rushes off to begin his mission to hunt down Anton. Smith visits a hotel where Anton usually stays. When he is ushered in, Smith notices that the hotel butler looks suspicious. Aware of the situation, Smith points a gun at the butler. It turns out the butler is someone sent by the mentor to help Smith with the mission. Smith immediately asks the man to show him all the hotel's CCTV footage. After monitoring it for a long time, Smith finally spots Anton entering the hotel, guarded by 2 bodyguards. Smith recognizes one of them, Lola Skye, a former assassin known for her cruelty. A few hours later, Smith asks the hotel waiter to deliver food to Anton's room. Hidden inside the tissue box is a recording device. Before the waiter leaves, Smith tells him to come back immediately once the food is delivered. However, upon arriving in Anton's room, the waiter talks too much, which makes Anton suspicious. Eventually, Anton orders Lola and one of his black-clad bodyguards to eliminate the waiter. Just as the waiter is about to be killed, Smith arrives in time to save him. A fight breaks out. During the chaos, Lola tries to take Anton out through the elevator. Smith quickly chases her.
Nice to see you again, John.
As the elevator opens, Lola tells Anton to run and escape in a car. At the same time, Smith manages to take down Lola and continues the pursuit. Eventually, Smith corners Anton. One of Anton's bodyguards tries to stop Smith's car, but without hesitation, Smith runs him over, killing him instantly. On the other side, it's revealed that the waiter is now being held hostage by Daniel, Silver's right-hand man. Daniel demands to know where Smith and Anton are, but the waiter insists that he doesn't know anything. Later, when the waiter said he had Smith's number, Daniel immediately took the waiter's cell phone and killed him. Back to Smith, who is now taking Anton to a deserted place. Along the way, Anton tries to escape, but Smith stops him with a warning shot. Here, Smith asks why Anton bankrupted so many large companies and what exactly is in the file. Anton finally opens up. He says he hates big companies that prioritize profit over quality. This hatred stems from a tragic incident 3 years ago, when he lost his wife and child in a car accident. At the time, Anton had just bought a new car, but it suffered a system failure due to a production defect. Hearing Anton's story, Smith suddenly remembers his own late wife, who also died in a car accident, despite driving a new vehicle. Coincidentally, the type of car driven by Smith's wife was the same as the one driven by Anton's family. Anton reveals that this type of car was carelessly produced by a company owned by Silver, the old man who leads the Mafia. In the end, Smith decides not to kill Anton and tells him to get back into the car. On the way, Anton continues telling his story about the secret file code now being targeted by Silver. It turns out Silver is planning to sell his car company to another party at a very high price. Meanwhile, the file contains all the evidence of Silver's crimes in building the company, including bribing officials and marketing dangerous, substandard cars. Upon hearing this, Smith, who had initially intended to kill Anton, changes his mind. He now plans to protect Anton and bring him to America to hand over the file to the FBI before Silver can complete the sale. After a long drive, Smith stops the car by a roadside stall to buy drinks, while asking Anton to wait inside the vehicle. Just as Smith finishes paying at the counter, several thugs sent by Silver arrive to kill him and capture Anton. Realizing the danger, Smith quickly prepares himself. Then a gunshot rings out. One of the thugs is attempting to drag Anton away, but Smith intervenes just in time to save him. After that, Smith takes Anton back toward America. However, they get stuck in heavy traffic, as many vehicles are also heading toward the U.S. border. At the same time, Lola catches up with them. She had previously planted a tracking device on Anton's car, which Smith is now driving. Not only Lola, but Daniel also arrives on the scene, having tracked Smith's cell phone. Daniel and Lola begin approaching the car. Smith, already aware of their presence, immediately tells Anton to get out of the car. On one occasion, Daniel manages to find Anton, but Smith attacks him from behind. While Smith and Daniel are fighting, Lola quickly takes Anton away. Now cornered, Smith decides to escape by blending into the crowd. Long story short, Daniel meets his boss again. He tells Silver that he has negotiated with Lola, who is demanding $1 million in exchange for Anton. Hearing this, Silver declares that tomorrow night, Daniel must kill both Anton and Lola. Silver has no intention of paying Lola anything. On the other hand, Smith goes to a bar to take a break and calls his mentor, updating him on what happened. The mentor reveals that the client who originally hired Smith was actually Silver. But now the mentor has received new information. Silver never intended to pay Smith. In fact, if Smith had captured Anton, Silver would have had Smith eliminated too. Upon hearing this, Smith tells his mentor that Anton is currently with Lola. Smith, who has known Lola for a long time, is certain that she will try to ransom Anton. However, the mentor warns that Silver is only setting a trap. He has no intention of paying. Silver would rather kill Lola than lose any money. The mentor also informs Smith that Silver often conducts illegal transactions at an abandoned building, a government project site that was shut down due to funds being embezzled by Silver. As Smith is about to leave the bar, he realizes the people around him are working for Silver. They attempt to arrest him. After paralyzing several of them, Smith escapes, but is shot in the back during the chase. Wounded, Smith takes a taxi to Esmeralda's place, the call girl who once kept him company. Upon arriving, Esmeralda treats his wound with care and tenderness. Emotions run high, and the two end up making love. The next morning, while Smith is having breakfast, he's shocked to see Daniel arrive with his men. Fearing for Esmeralda's safety, Smith kills one of the men and escapes with her. Though shot at by Daniel, both Smith and Esmeralda manage to get away. They rush to the abandoned building to meet Anton. As they approach the building, Smith asks Esmeralda to leave and go as far as possible. He doesn't want her to get caught up in the danger. Initially, Esmeralda refuses, especially since her sibling has died and she feels she has no one left. But Smith insists, and Esmeralda finally leaves. Inside, Smith finds Anton with Lola. As he approaches, Lola immediately shoots him. Then she locks Anton in a room and returns to fight Smith. During their confrontation, Smith tries to reason with her. He warns that Silver has no intention of paying her, and in fact plans to kill them both to cover his tracks. Lola doesn't believe him and continues fighting. But eventually, Smith manages to corner her. He tells her he won't kill her if she walks away now. After a tense pause, Lola decides to leave. Shortly after, Daniel arrives at the building. A brutal fight breaks out between him and Smith. Unfortunately, Smith is once again cornered.
Is that all you got, John? You're gonna have to do better than that if you're gonna take out the king of this jungle!
Just as Daniel is about to finish him off, Lola returns and saves Smith.
Now we're even.
After everything is over, Smith and Anton leave the building. Smith is surprised to see Esmeralda still waiting for him. It turns out she truly does not want to be apart from him. Later, Smith takes Anton to hand over the file code to the FBI. Meanwhile, Smith decides to retire from being a hitman and start a new life with Esmeralda. The next morning, Silver, knowing that all his crimes have now been exposed, chooses to end his life by suicide.